Hi all. Today I am going to discuss about the basics of parasitology and medical parasitology. In this session we are going to discuss about the various types of parasites, host and the relationship between a parasite and the host and their effects. In brief, man and other living things on earth live in an entangling relationship with each other. They don't exist in an isolated fashion. They are interdependent, each forms a strand in the web of life. Medical parasitology is the science that deals with organisms living in the human body and the medical significance of the host-parasite relationship. Now, let us see the association between parasite and host. A parasite is a living organism which takes its nourishment and other needs from a host. The host is an organism which supports this parasite. The parasites included in a medical parasitology are protozoa, helminthes, and some arthropods. The hosts vary depending on whether they harbor the various stages in parasitic development. Next, I am going to explain the different kinds of parasites present in this environment. First one, ectoparasite. This is a parasitic organism that lives on the outer surface of its host. Example, lice, ticks and mites. Next, endoparasites. These parasites that live inside the body of their host. Example, Entamoeba histolytica. Then, obligate parasite. This parasite is completely dependent on the host during a segment or all of its life cycle. Example, Plasmodium sapontia. Further, the facultative parasite, an organism that exhibits both the parasitic and the non-parasitic modes of living and hence does not absolutely depend on the parasitic way of life, but is capable of adapting to if it placed on a host. Example, the Negularia fowleri. Next, accidental parasite. Parasites that attack an unnatural host. Example, Hymenelolepis diminuta or rat tapeworm. Next, erratic parasite is one that wanders into an organ in which it is not usually found. Example, Entamoeba histolytica in the liver or lung of humans. Finally, most of the parasites which live in or on the body of the host do not cause a disease. Such kind of parasites are called non-pathogenic parasites. In medical parasitology, we will focus on most of the diseases caused parasites or pathogenic parasites. However, understanding parasites which do not ordinarily produce disease in healthy individuals but do cause illness in individuals with impaired defense mechanism is becoming a paramount importance because of the increasing prevalence of HIV and AIDS in our country. There are different types of hosts present in this environment. They are a definitive host, intermediate host, paratenic host, reservoir host, natural host and accidental host. Next, I am going to explain the symbiotic relationship of parasite and host. There is a dynamic equilibrium which exists in the interaction of organism. Any organism that spends a portion or all of its life cycle intimately associated with another organism of a different species is considered a symbiont, and this relationship is called symbiosis. There are the three common symbiotic relationships between the two organisms. First, mutualism. Mutualism is an association in which both partners are metabolically dependent upon each other and one cannot live without the help of the other. However, none of the partners suffers any harm from the association. One classic example is the relationship between the certain species flagellated protozoa living in the gut of termites. The protozoa, which depend entirely on a carbohydrate diet, acquire their nutrients from termites. In return, they are capable of synthesizing and secreting cellulases. The cellulose digesting enzyme which are utilized by termites in their digestion. Next, commensalism, an association in which the commensal takes the benefit without causing injury to the host. Example, most of the normal floras of the human's body can be considered as the common cells. The third, parasitism, is an association where one of the partners is harmed and other lives at the expense of other. Basic example is worms like Ascaris lumbricoids reside in the gastrointestinal tract of man and feed on important items of intestinal food, causing various illnesses. Once we are clear about the different types of association between the host and parasite, we can see the effect of the parasites brings to the host and the reactions which develop in the host body due to parasitic invasion. Now, let us see the basic concepts in medical parasitology. In medical parasitology, each of the medically important parasites are distinguished according to their morphology. Geographical distribution, means of infection, life cycle, host or parasite relationship, pathology and clinical manifestation of infection, laboratory diagnosis, treatment and preventive or control measures of parasites. Morphology. Morphology includes size, shape, color and position of different organelles in different parasites at various stages of their development. This is especially important in laboratory diagnosis, which helps to identify the different stages of development and differentiate between pathogenic and common cell organisms. For example, Entamoeba histolytica and Entamoeba coli. Next, geographical distribution. Even though revolutionary advances in transportation has made geographical isolation no longer a protection against many of the parasitic diseases, many of them are still found in abundance in the tropics. Distribution of parasites depends on the various factors. First, the presence of the food habits of a suitable host. The host specificity, for example, Ancylostoma duodenale requires a man host, where the Ancylostoma caninum requires a dog. Second, the food habits, example, consumption of raw or undercooked meat or vegetable predisposes to teniasis. Third, easy escape of the parasite from the host, the different developmental stages of a parasite which are released from the body along with the feces and the urine widely distributed in many parts of the world as compared to those parasites which require a vector or direct body fluid contact for transmission. Fourth, environmental conditions. Environmental conditions favoring survival outside the body of the host, that is the temperature, the presence of water and humidity, etc. Fifth, the presence of an appropriate vector or intermediate host parasites that do not require an intermediate host for transmission are more widely distributed than those that do require vectors. Once we are clear about the geographical distribution and condition favoring survival in relation to different parasites, effective preventive and control measures can more easily be devised and implemented. Let us now have a look of life cycle of parasites. The route followed by a parasite from the time of entry to the host to exist, including the extracorporeal life. It can either be simple when only one host involved or complex involving one or more intermediate hosts. A parasite's life cycle consists of many phases. One among them involves the route a parasite follows inside the body. With this, I would like to end this session on the basics of parasitology and medical parasitology. Thank you.